Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of One for the Table on this beautiful sunny LA day. John Kong is actually visiting LA from Detroit because he's contemplating about moving here.
Yeah, okay. Whatever you say, Kim.
And it's so good to have you in LA. So when are you moving here?
Probably never. But it's nice to be here now. I love the fact that, LA is so accommodating and actually changed its weather pattern to make me feel more at home. Mm-hmm. It is currently gloomy and 60 degrees outside, whereas in Michigan
it's supposed to be hot the day John leaves.
And yeah, it is. And while I'm gone, Michigan is like 80 degrees and sunny.
LA trying to make you feel at home.
Yeah, I'm gatekeeping good weather. Very Californian. But we have a special guest today.
And this is someone who got out of Michigan just in time, unlike John. And I actually went to high school with this person.
Yeah.
And our special guest is Khushbu Shah.
Hello.
Hello, Khushbu. Welcome to our humble little podcast.
Thank you. I'm still salty that I'm not on our high school page's Wikipedia, but...
Now that you're about to be a published author of a killer cookbook, American by Khushbu Shah, I feel like you're going to be up there.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Who needs a New York Times bestseller when you can be on your high school's Wikipedia page? Yeah.
Isn't that the dream, though? To be recognized by people that you no longer care about?
John, are you one of your high school's notable alumni?
Probably not. My high school produced some pretty important people, I'm sure.
Okay.
Actually impressive people.
Like who?
Oh, I don't know.
One of the biggest claim to fame from our high school is Jean-Benet Ramsey's dad.
It's true.
It's true. And Tyler Oakley and Tom Willing.
Who's Tom Willing?
He
Smallville guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, so he was the gay awakening for so many people. Well, your high school is really gay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not Khushbu.
But not me. Unfortunately for me.
So, Khushbu, would you like to tell the listeners about yourself?
Hi, I'm Khushbu. John spelled my name wrong on this recording.
I totally did. And you know what, though? I spelled your name wrong in the way that probably most people don't.
You're right. Most people miss the first H, and you got the first one, but you missed the second. You're saying my name with a lisp. Khushbu. That's all it is. Khushbu.
When I have to type your name out, I always in my head, it's K, Hush, Boo.
Oh, that's pretty good.
I like that.
And you're just secretly telling me to shut up the whole time. I love it.
Basically, yeah. I'm here to silence all POC women.
Classic kimchi. Hi, I'm Khushbu with two H's. Khushbu.
Yeah, sorry.
And I'm a food writer, and I live in Los Angeles, but I grew up in Michigan. And I used to be the restaurant editor at Food and Wine magazine, but now I have a cookbook coming out called American, 125 recipes from the Indian American diaspora.
Oh, amazing. Okay, so first of all, I already pronounced the title of your book wrong because I said American, but it's American.
I kind of like it though. It sounds elegant,
In my head, it's American.
American.
American is just how Indians or even just South Asians generally say American. So if you're you're American, you're going to America. Yeah.
I love that.
So it's basically America with an Indian accent.
So could you tell us what your cookbook is all about?
Yeah, it's all about what Indian food looks like in America. I think people don't realize that Indian food has its own unique identity here. I think we often think of Indian food via Britain or, via India itself. But Indian food in America is its own beast. And I wanted to showcase that and break down a lot of myths around Indian food that, is so spicy. It's so complicated. It's all curry. I feel like most people in America don't really know Indian food kind of beyond butter chicken, samosas, mango lassi, and chai tea.
Not chai tea.
Not chai tea. Yeah, and I wanted to show just how much, there really is. And this book is really only, getting to the surface of it all. There's still so much left to do and cover. But yeah.
Were there any challenges that you came across when trying to dispel these myths for writing this book? Were there any that you felt really strongly about taking on head first?
Yeah, that Indian food is complicated, the idea that one cuisine is inherently more complicated than every other cuisine in the world is so stupid to me. Do people think that Indian people just don't work? They have just dedicated people to just cook all day long, that, people, we only eat dishes that have 900 spices and have been, cooked for 72 hours. That's biryani, and that's amazing, and that's great. But biryani is a special occasion dish. It's not what we eat, every single day of the week. It's not a casual Tuesday night dinner. I mean, my mom is a dentist who runs her own practice, and she still came home and put a fresh meal on the table every night. I'm incredibly spoiled and lucky, to have grown up in a house like that. But she was making a lot of really quick things, like stir-fried cabbage with turmeric and Kashmiri red chili powder and salt. That's it, You don't actually need that many spices. And we eat that with rice and yogurt. That's my favorite go-to meal. And it's ultimately 6 ingredients.
Yogurt rice, all thanks to you, has become my go-to comfort meal.
It's the best thing.
It's so easy to make. It's filling. It's satisfying. And also, it's yogurt. I don't feel so guilty.
And I love how every Asian culture has a rice and go-to, where it's
100%.
yogurt rice. Some people will say egg and rice. Some people will say a specific tofu, fermented tofu condiment or something like that. Just depending on where you are, there's always just a rice and dish. And yogurt rice was one that I came across only recently, and I'm obsessed with it. It's so good.
I have this life theory that I call it R+2, which is rice plus 2 things always is the best meal at the end of the day if you don't know what to feed yourself. Yeah. Rice plus egg plus soy sauce, right? Incredible. Rice plus yogurt plus salt or a little Indian pickle, incredible. Yeah.
So out of all the Indian American dishes, and aside from the obvious butter chicken or saag paneer, things like that, what would be the dish that you would introduce to people that's not familiar with Indian food?
What's the gateway?
That's a great question. I personally would probably do chili cheese toast. It's one of my favorite things to make. It's so versatile, but it's also a lot of really familiar elements for people who might be scared of food. So it's basically you take a piece of toast. You can use whatever you like, quite frankly. I actually really love using milk bread or a shokupan. And then you toast that. I actually like to put a little whipped cream cheese down, which is my kind of secret hack to make it super creamy. But you don't have to do that. And then you just dice a bunch of bell peppers, onions. People use a green serrano chili pepper. I personally love a pickled jalapeno because I think it adds a really nice pickly note. And, there's some heat, but it's not overwhelming. And then you mix that with shredded cheese and chaat masala. And if you've never had chaat masala, it is the best spice blend. Basically, you can cook so much Indian food with just garam masala and chaat masala. They make dishes instantly Indian. Garam masala is more warm spices. Chaat masala has kala namak in it, which is black salt, which has that kind of sulfuric kind of tang
eggy
to it. But it makes things pop, and it's a little funky. And you can buy both of those spice blends at any Indian store, but also online, or Diaspora Co., which makes incredible spices. They're doing a garam masala and a chaat masala. I think Burlap and Barrel has their versions too. My book has the blend written out if you want to make your own. But you just toss it with a little bit of chaat masala, basically some cilantro if you're feeling it, and then you kind of load it up on the toast, and then you melt it. And it's just this cheesy, delicious chaat masala-y, funky, like snack meal sort of situation. Great with a cup of chai. Don't say chai tea. I mean, I don't think anyone needs to know that.
You're like, yeah. Well, just for the people at home, like, explain why we say chai and not chai tea.
Yeah, because chai means tea. So when you're saying chai tea, it's tea. But, I really do believe the Indian diaspora has, bigger things to battle at this point. Than
but it's the same way. I say the same thing about saying like bao buns. I was like, you're just saying bun. Or like, but then like people are like, but that's
cute.
just TT is pretty damn cute too, though.
TT just sounds like doing titties, you know what I mean? Which, like, I guess can be cute.
I feel like TT is also like
like an
the word
auntie,
for like
like
auntie.
TT.
Yeah. I know some it's got to be some language. So when you were describing Indian American food, are these established recipes that like have existed for a very long time, or are any of these like your original creations?
Yeah, there's definitely some stuff that like I just sort of dreamt up or like wish sort of existed. So the book is there's a mix of stuff. There's dishes that are kind of the same in India as they are today. Like people didn't mess with them because they're just so good. Like classics, like sambar, which is like this like lentil. I hate to call it a soup, but it is like a soupy, brothy, like lentil dish that you eat with like dosa or rice or idli, which are like, these wonderful fermented rice, like pillowy dumplings. Sometimes describing Indian food in like American terms is so frustrating and annoying, but like dosa, like an Indian rice crepe. And it's like, no, maybe crepes are like French dosas. Like that's what I would really like to be describing.
I mean, like it wouldn't be surprising if they were around first.
Mm-hmm. They probably were. Yeah, people have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
So,
no, I completely feel you because whenever I try to describe tunjang to people, it's often called Korean miso, but it's not Korean miso. It's its own thing,
Yeah.
So I feel like. And I understand you have to use like the language like that other people can relate to describe something, but then it does feel like you're kind of like taking away the integrity of this thing when you're describing something as like
the language of the colonizers.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, it's like you're doing the colonizers' work for them. It's like you're.
But yeah, so basically, there's like the classic dishes, the khichadis, like that kind of stuff, parathas, Then there's stuff that was like born in diaspora. So like Indian pizza, like things that were invented here. Indian pizza, like mango pie is this like wonderful like auntie hack kind of recipe that, was born here. Or like things that were kind of modified through adaptation because of what was available. So there's a snack mix called jevdo, which is like a bunch of like fried things, salty things, raisins, nuts, like all mixed together. It's like sweet, salty, spicy, all in one. But a lot of aunties here just started using breakfast cereals because it was a great way to use them up.
Yes.
And so like it's really
amazing.
Fun. Yeah. So you make like breakfast cereal, jevdo, which is like breakfast cereal doesn't like now exist in India, but was not a thing until very recently. So like there's stuff like that. And then there's things that I straight up just made up because like I wanted them to exist and I couldn't believe they didn't exist. Like a saag paneer lasagna. Like I've never seen anyone do it, which is like wild to me because I love a spinach lasagna. Like with a bechamel, like I don't fuck with like globs of ricotta. Like I just can't do it. And so this is basically my version of it. But, I've seen like people kind of do versions online, but they would take like slabs of paneer and then layer it with like the saag, like sauce, like the spinach kind of like sauce and stack them together. But I was like, that's not lasagna. Like I want the noodle, like I want the pasta. And I know you have a lasagna in your book too. And it's like, it's that same, I think it's such a good like vessel for other culture, like for third culture food, essentially.
Was lasagna like a special treat for you when you were a kid? Did you love it 100%. As a kid?
That was like,
totally.
Always like Thanksgiving or like something like that. Yeah. It was like, it was never like a normal thing. Yeah.
I think that's like a common thread that we have. Like a lot of my stuff where it's just like a mash of things that I wanted to make just came from stuff that I loved as a kid. And I know like you did the lasagna, you did the Rice Krispie treats for yours, which were beautiful. A lot of it is just like, we're taking two things from our childhoods that we like and we just mash them together and they just work because that's how food works.
100%. And like, we both, I know all three of us have like really global pantries, but then, our reference points for cooking from, both our upbringing in the West and, our Asian like heritages. And like, I don't know, like it makes sense to mash them all together. Like, why wouldn't you? I don't know. People, roll their eyes at the word fusion, but I think fusion's amazing when it's done with intent and purpose. Like when you're just randomly mashing two things together, yeah, that's like dumb. But when it comes from something like this, I think it's really beautiful. And it's like how cuisines evolve,
So, aside from Indian food, what would you say is your like favorite cuisine?
That's so hard. But I live in K-Town in Los Angeles, and like I've never had such incredible access to Korean food like this. And it's amazing to just be a couple blocks away from like the best like sundubu or like incredible like, bingsu or, whatever it is. Oh, or Hungary kalguksu. The amount of kalguksu I eat, like, is I love it. And the Korean grocery stores are also incredible.
Yeah, the produce is so like fresh and cheaper.
Yes, fresh, cheap, beautiful scallions are like 20 cents for these like gigantic bunches. Like Trader Joe's could never, The mushroom pipeline. Why are mushrooms so cheap at Korean grocery stores? Like you can get these beautiful king oyster mushrooms that seriously Whole Foods would charge you like $27 for $3. And I do not understand it.
I feel like these things are worth gatekeeping.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry.
It's
You're
out there
hearing this in a
now.
podcast. Do not go to Asian market for mushrooms. They are crap. They're bullshit.
Go to Whole Foods.
Yeah, go to Whole Foods. Actually, no, you know what? Maybe we want to keep them coming so they can always get fresh mushrooms. I don't know.
True. Like, I love those individually wrapped ones too. And you can get like maitakes. Like, those are so expensive at the farmer's market. And then you literally have like just boxes of them. And they're all grown inside. They're all grown in like sterile conditions because that's just how mushrooms work. So they're like every bit as good as the ones that you find in the farmer's market because they all grow them the same way.
Yeah, the Korean mushroom mafia, whatever is happening there, I'm obsessed with it.
What's your favorite mushroom?
I think I am a king oyster girl. There's just the versatility of it.
So good.
Like you can shred it, you can like dice it. I like to turn it into like quote unquote carnitas. Sometimes. Yeah, there's just so much you can do. And then when you like score it, with like the crisscross and then like pan sear them, like they're just so delicious and like so good, especially in like a lot of Indian like dishes too. Like you can replace a lot of like chicken or whatever, especially if you don't eat a lot of meat or you just want to up your vegetable game, you can throw in like king oysters into like a lot of the base sauces, and it's so good. I make this like king oyster moili, which is a dish often usually made with fish, but I throw in the mushrooms, and it's just as good. Oh
yeah, Kim, what's your favorite mushroom?
Woodier and enoki.
Ooh.
Nice.
Woodier
enoki has like
good.
The chewy like crunch
so
texture, and then Woodier, even as like a filling, finally like chopped up, still gives that crunch, and then it's just like fun to eat on its own. It's good in soups, it's good in salads, it's good as like a side dish.
You talking about Woodier reminds me of the thing. So when we were talking about like how hard it is to describe like our own cultural foods in terms that like Western people will understand, the thing that I have a hard time with is describing like textures in Chinese dishes that Chinese people value in ways that like sound appetizing to Western people.
It's when you say like slimy, mushy.
Exactly. Like while you're trying to describe like the texture of Whittier mushroom or jellyfish, I always say like, oh, it's delicious. It's got like a bouncy crunch and a little bit of like mucusy, but it's good.
Yeah, you mentioned the word mush, and then you can also see like the Westerners just like frowning.
Yeah. Which is funny because mush. Who doesn't like a little mush?
Followed by the dreaded, I'm a texture person. If I hear that one more time, I'll blow my brains out.
I'm also a texture person, but
we're all texture people.
I love it. Yeah.
We just like different textures.
Yeah, exactly. If you like to eat, you'd like texture.
Oh my God.
It's wild. Oh, I also love a morel mushroom. Shout out to morels. But that's like the rich bitch mushroom. Actually, so funny. In Hindi, morels are actually called guchis. So like I always have like gucci gang, but it's like the morel mushroom. Like in morel my brain.
Did you hear about the lady that just died from eating morel mushrooms?
What happened?
She ordered the special roll at the sushi restaurant, and I guess they chopped up like uncooked morel mushrooms and then served it in the roll, and then like
Was it like the false
allegedly
morels?
something like 20 people or something were poisoned, and one lady died from it.
Yeah, because there is a look-alike morel mushroom. So if they like foraged them themselves, or they had a bad forager, they could have like picked false morels, which oddly enough don't actually look a lot like real morels, but people still mistake them and they eat them and they're poisonous.
Wow.
It could have been
I did
that.
not know that.
Mm-hmm. And you also have to wash them and you have to cook them because like they might like have like bacteria or parasites and stuff like that. We were just like, what's his name? That Kennedy guy had like brain worms or something. I just keep thinking about that. I was like, that's what you do. What happens when you don't wash your shit?
Yeah, please wash your produce and your hands. Just a general PSA.
The only mushroom that I genuinely do not care for is portobello.
I don't know. I could like a portobello ravioli. I could fuck that up. Thank you. Shout out to Olive Garden. Like,
I don't know. I
it's a
feel
really like nostalgic.
Maybe
flavor.
because like I've seen it in such like so many like underwhelming like preparation.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because sometimes when you go to a wedding, it's like the options are chicken breast, steak, or mushroom. But then
it's like an uncooked cap of portobello.
yeah, literally with some like grill marks on it.
Yeah,
I did hear somebody
gross.
talk about. I heard somebody talk about a portobello smash burger being pretty good, and I want to try it because like I don't believe
Even if it's like grilled crispy,
like
with all the like liquid
really just like
extracted.
pushed right down there, but that would take a long time.
I'm pretty sure the Shake Shack shroom burger is 2 portobellos with cheese in the middle, deep fried. And that one is like a great version of a portobello. But you're right. There's so much undercooked, uncooked portobello in this world.
Just like and when you cook it like that, it just tastes like muddy water.
Yeah. Isn't that the name of some like mushroom coffee, mud water?
Really?
I'm pretty sure it's like one of those like adaptogen like coffee mushroom things that are supposed to like make you live longer.
I think so. Yeah, like a chaga tea or one of those mushroom tea things.
Yeah,
and they all taste like you better live longer.
If I drank this, I would expect to live 10 years longer.
Right.
I would be so mad if it didn't work. Like big mad.
So going back to your cookbook, what would you say is the recipe that you're most proud of?
Ooh. Definitely I'm obsessed with the saag paneer lasagna. Sorry, I'm gonna pick a bunch. It's all your darlings, Like
no, tell us all about it. And as someone who's tasted Khushbu Shah paneer lasagna, what you'll want to make it because seriously, it is so good, and it's like a whole new. Like I love lasagna, but I've always vegetarian creamy lasagna more. And then I had Khushbu's like paneer lasagna, and I'm like, okay, this is the lasagna for me. Like I can't wait to make that one.
Wow. I love this. Ringing endorsement. Should have had you on the back of my book. This was perfect. So the saag paneer lasagna, the Rice Krispie treats I make with like jaggery and those candied fennel seeds that you see at all the Indian restaurants, and a little bit of flaky sea salt, and it's like just kind of that like anise, salty, sweet, like I don't know. I just love a Rice Krispie treat. Such a good vessel for stuff. I'm really proud of all those super like home dishes that are in there too that you just never see like on a restaurant menu. Like there's this thing called bagar lo bath in there that's like very much also I think a version that only maybe my family makes. But again, it's rice and yogurt, but this time rice and yogurt cooked with some spices like turmeric and red chili powder. But it's like you kind of cook it to like a risotto like consistency. And like you put a tardka on, which is like where you temper spices. So you temper mustard seeds and some ghee or, whatever your fat of your choice, and you like add it in. And it adds like this whole new level of flavor to it. But it's so comforting and like soothing. It's like the perfect thing when you're feeling a little sick or like you've been traveling forever and just kind of like need to like reset. Like it's the ultimate dish for that. I'm obsessed with it. What else do I love in this book? I mean, the breakfast cereal dough like really slaps, like as far as like snack mixy kind of things go to have on hand. Oh, and the Carolyn fried chicken sandwich on there. Carolyn fried
Yeah.
chicken is like, it's the real KFC, like straight up. And like, I don't know why. I feel like Indian food would be so much bigger in the United States if like people leaned into Indian fried chicken, because I feel like Americans really love fried chicken, you know, it's fried chicken formats. I mean, it's done wonders for Korean food, right? Like Korean fried chicken is like, I mean, first of all, it's phenomenal, but like two, it's also such a great into a culture, you know? And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
Carolyn fried chicken could do that too. It's like a riff on Asha Gomez's recipe, who's like this incredible chef out of the South, where she brines the chicken in buttermilk. And then it's got like curry leaves in there. So it's not even like crazy spicy. It's just really flavorful. And then I've never seen anyone turn it into a sandwich. And I was like, why wouldn't we turn this into a sandwich? So I make like a curry leaf kind of like mayo-ish type spread. And then you sandwich and like I put like the bread and butter pickles on there because I really like that to like cut through some of the like the fat. And then this chicken sandwich is like the best chicken sandwich.
Oh.
But you can also do it with like cauliflower if you don't eat chicken, and it still slaps. Yeah.
I like that you mentioned curry leaf just now. I think a lot of people don't realize that it is a leaf. Can you just like describe the differences between the leaf and the powder and the sauce that so many people here know?
Yeah. So curry leaves, also known as curry patta or curry patta, is a real plant. And those leaves, like we often use it. It's like we often temper them again as tadka to like really bring out the flavors and add it to.
And when you say temper, what do you mean?
So like popping the spices in like a hot fat. It really like unlocks like their aromas. That's low-key the secret to Indian food, is making tadkas, and you could like add them to the end, or often you start off dishes with it. Or actually, I have a tadka focaccia in this book that also really slaps, where you take the tadka, so it's like curry leaves, dried red, like whole red chilies, mustard seeds, sesame seeds. You pop them all in this hot fat, and then you pour it over the focaccia dough, and then you like bake it, and it's so good. So there's the leaf, which is like actually called the curry patta. Then there's the curry powder spice. It's like a spice blend is what a curry powder really is, and it's a British invention. I have exactly one recipe in this book that uses curry powder, but you will not find it anywhere else. And then curry itself is like a misnomer, kind of blanket term for any sort of like Indian saucy thing. But the thing is like every single Indian dish has its own, like all the formats have their own names. Yeah. But I guess it's easier to just call everything, curry, but everything isn't curry. But there are still some curries in this book. Like there are certain dishes that Indians do actually call curries, like egg curry is in the book. I have it two different ways. I mean, there's so many types of egg curry across India. So it's not that Indians don't eat curry, it's just everything isn't curry.
The first time I ever found out that curry was like a colonizer term is when I saw you on Netflix talking about it on David Chang's show Ugly Delicious.
Oh yeah, forgot I did that. Yeah.
I remember. How did that come about? Like, was David Jones like just come on my show for like this little segment, or?
Yeah, he was doing like an Indian food episode, and so it was me, Priya Krishna, who wrote the great cookbook Indianish. She also has a kids book out right now, and Sonia Chopra, who was the executive editor at Eater and also Bon Appetit, another food writer. Two of my really really good friends, and like one of the three of us are part of a very small minority of Indian food writers out there. There's a couple more, out there like Tejal Rao of the New York Times. But yeah, so we came on to just talk about like the state of kind of like Indian food, especially in America. And it's like these myths have been around for a really long time that, Indian food is crazy spicy. The idea that it's going to like give you diarrhea, like those dumb jokes. Like I'm over it. And I'm hoping this book will kind of help people understand that Indian food is, beautiful and fun, and it's heavily spiced, but not always spicy.
I always hate that trope where like people like would think heavily spiced food will give your gut any kind of like reaction to that. Is like, no, it's not the food. You just literally have the stomach of a Victorian child.
Yeah, you're weak. It's you.
Yeah, you're a weak ass bitch.
It is literally you.
And also, you don't deserve this food.
Yeah. Sorry, your digestive system. Yeah, it won't do you any justice. You're the one missing out. 100%. It's such a dumb trope, but it's like they always do it with, Indian food, Mexican food. I mean, even with Chinese food sometimes, right? Like it's Korean food. Anything that they're like kind of afraid of. Basically anything that isn't like chicken breast and like broccoli.
Oh my God, I actually have people like that goes like, my body parts like feel numb when I eat Chinese food. And I'm like, all right, so deleting your number off my phone.
Right. Like
because of the MSG? They're like,
the MSG.
Okay, well. MSGs, I mean, they eat Doritos. Like, Doritos have MSG.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but we know. We know.
Yeah.
Is the diasporic Indian American food, like, so in terms of like Chinese American, it's very informed by like a specific regional cuisine, so Cantonese cuisine. I know a lot of people don't realize like how diverse, how large, how many styles of cooking there are in India and South Asia in general. Is there like one specific region that like you find borrows a lot and it's translated over and it's brought over, whether it be like, due to migration, due to like whatever is going on in the history of the time? Yeah,
100%. I mean, it's really down to like immigration patterns. Like most, like the largest, there's been Indians in America for, a very long time, but they were an incredibly small number. And then kind of in the 60s and 70s, you start to see a much larger increase of immigration due to the Immigration Act. And so it's from particular regions, so Punjab, Gujarat, and then from the south, like, mostly like Tamil Nadu, kind of extended. Those are the first kind of three major regions of India to have like large immigrant populations in America and Canada. Like if you go to Canada, there's like incredible Punjabi communities, especially like around Toronto, super dense in that area. So yeah, that's definitely a lot of the food that you see. That's why you see a lot of like butter chicken, saag paneer, palak paneer, naan, samosas. Like, a lot of that is Punjabi style food. And then, the Gujarati community, if they're, the ones that aren't doctors, lawyers, like, again, all the Indians that aren't, STEM professionals of that, like the Gujarati community in particular, starts really getting into like the motel business. They also own a lot of like 7-Elevens, Subways, liquor stores. And then South Indians, not to like, not to, categorize everybody into these, things, but there is some general patterns, a lot of, especially in the 90s, you see this influx of immigrants from South India in particular that are all on the H-1B visas, that are all tech workers. And so you see a lot of South Indians in tech, and they bring with them, like dosa, sambar, things like that. Like dosa is a little more prevalent these days, a little easier to find because of like the South Indian community.
Yeah, I think one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that like these stereotypes of certain subsets of people going into careers is usually predetermined through extremely racist policy. Whereas like, for example, Chinese people run a laundromat and have Chinese restaurants. Those were the only jobs they were allowed to have. They weren't allowed to have any like stuff. So what else are you going to do? So of course you think of these things as stereotypes, but that is because that was the only option that they had at the time.
100%. Yes. Like, I mean, especially the first wave of immigrants to the U.S. from India were all professionals or studying for professional degrees. But then, eventually we did it to ourselves too. Like, it became, the Indian community also kind of has to take some responsibility for, thinking that their children are failures if they're not doctors, lawyers, engineers, like
I just want to point out that we are all doing perfectly fine. As
are you doing perfectly fine? You good?
Yes. Yes, we are.
Minus my like anxiety spirals every single night. Yeah, that's fine.
Look at us, survivors of STEM.
As I'm sitting in the bathtub crying myself to sleep.
Yeah, here I mistakenly thought, like, I was like, I would have a good life as a doctor, but I wouldn't have a great life. And I'm like, looking at all my doctor friends, and I'm like, maybe they got it right.
So I consider you to be one of like the most connected person I know in the food industry. Like any restaurants like around America, like you know about it. Like any chefs, like I mentioned, like, oh, I like the chef's work. You're like, oh, I know them. They're really sweet. And even if when there's like a new hot spot, I'm like, have you heard of this spot? And it's like, oh, I've already been there. Which I obviously has a lot to do with your like previous job, right? Right before this. Can we talk about that? Is that cool?
Yeah, totally.
Can we talk about like what you used to do for Food and Wine magazine? Because I think it's really cool.
Yeah, that was a crazy job. I spent 4 years as the restaurant editor at Food and Wine. So it was my job to like run around the country, like literally just do loops, finding all of the best new chefs in America. So Food and Wine has this franchise that's been around for over 30 years, where they name like usually about 10 to 11 people as the best new chefs in America. And like, but a lot of these chefs go on to do like really legendary things. Like people like Dave Chang, Daniel Boulud, Tom Flicchio, like they were all like, all these well-known chefs, they all were Food and Wine best new chefs at some point, which is kind of crazy.
And I think people don't realize like best new chefs is oftentimes like, how the Golden Globes usually leads to like Oscar wins. So, like it's what that list is what puts a lot of people into the spotlight for stuff like James Beard, which is like the Oscars of the American food world. So like this is how like that's how people just knew Khushbu's name. Also because you have a very unique and easily rememberable name in this industry. But yeah, you see that on the reservation. You're just like, ooh.
No, so I'm so glad it's not another like old person that's not POC with like
there we go.
With like an old, that considers like steakhouses to be like the pioneers,
the height of innovation,
American cuisine,
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love a steakhouse. I mean, where else can you get?
I'm doing I love steakhouses too, but
17 potato formats on one menu, like incredible. But yeah, there's more out there than just a steakhouse or a burger. Someone, cooking just Cal-Ital food. So much Cal-Ital out there.
So with your job, you're literally like traveling from like city to city and eating sometimes like 5 meals a day in like 5 different restaurants?
Yeah, sometimes it would be that intense. Like double dinners were like a norm at that point. I mean, at a certain point you get kind of sick of eating and all you want to do is like sit in your bed and like eat Sweetgreen. But also, it was an incredible privilege to do that job. And wow, my Delta status those years, incredible. Like, just so good.
Do you have like recollections of like the best meals that you've had or the best dishes that you had? I'm sure it's been a lot. And then as a follow-up question, the worst. You don't have to name names, but just the dishes in general.
Oh yeah, the worst ones, like there's one that in my brain I just call poop squiggles.
Poop squiggles?
Because like the dish like literally came out looking like poop squiggles. Like I could not understand the plating choice, and then it also didn't taste good. But like, wow, do you really eat with your eyes first? Like that was proof. And this restaurant was also like named one of the best new restaurants in the country by Esquire that year. Like it was so funny.
Whoa.
That's actually honestly the best part of that job was the fact that I could tell exactly who was bullshitting their lists because I had been to every single restaurant on all of those lists. So like I could tell you if something was like, if someone was just doing it because it was like checking boxes and would make them like look good, to include someone who happened to like, check all these diversity boxes. I mean, you guys came with me to one of those meals. That was just
we did.
Terrible. But like, whoa, like that restaurant checks a lot of boxes, like looks really good to include on a list and like did show up on some national lists, but like most of that shit was inedible.
Yeah.
And everybody talks about their restaurant and stuff like they're like the treasure and like the baby of like that city.
All the time.
And when
I
everything
still get
literally tastes
invited
like
and
dirt,
told to go back. It was so bad. Oh my god.
It was so bad.
This is like the secret that the three of us will take to our graves because
what restaurant that was.
if this ever came out, we'd all be fucking canceled.
I mean, no, I don't know if it'd be canceled, but and I do feel like we need more restaurants like that where in theory and like what they preach is good. It's just like the end product was not fabulous.
Yeah.
Yes, but we had great Laotian food that trip.
That was so good.
Yeah, that restaurant was fire. Yeah.
So how do you deal with the situations? You know, like obviously because of your position, they're going to give you like the best of like when you're there, right? And do you ever can tell like sometimes just restaurants like when like normal people are dining there, like it's not going to be the tea. It's not going to be like a normal person's experience, like when they're going there as like a non like food writer.
Yeah, 100%. There's like little things that you can just observe, just generally in a restaurant service. You know, you can obviously tell when you're getting special treatment like really fast, and I'm able to like discount for that. But do you know what, honestly, there was a lot of restaurants that did not give one fuck that I was there, which was like kind of amusing. Like my name is, you know, obviously a little bit different, and you would think that maybe more restaurants would, you know, pay attention to that. But like a lot of the ones owned by like straight white men did not give one fuck that I was there. Honestly, being a woman of color sometimes is like the best disguise in the world. Something I, you know, talk about a lot. Yeah. Which is fascinating. But no, a lot of great meals though. There's so much talent, like so much diverse, incredible talent. Of, you know, people out there. Like I think about like this place called Anju in DC all the time. Like Angel Barreto is the chef there. He ended up becoming one of my best new chefs, but he's like half black, half Puerto Rican, cooking Korean food, like the most fire Korean food you've ever had. It's so good. In DC, like if anyone's in DC and has a chance to go, you should definitely go to Anju. It's like out of control good. But I think about my meals there constantly. It's really fun that like once I've named someone the best new chef to go back to that restaurant and then like almost like double check my work and be like, oh yeah, no, that really was that good. It's like a relief. I remember when I went to Quarter Sheets after naming Hannah Ziskin, who's like the pastry chef and co-owner of Quarter Sheets, this really wonderful pizza place in LA. And I remember going back after I named it that and having that meal. And I was like, oh yeah, no, right. I was right. This is perfect. She makes like the most insane cakes out of this like pizza shop. Like you would just never expect it to be the best cakes in LA, but they're the best cakes in LA. No.
Damn.
So now I want to ask you a really hard question.
Who do I like better, Jon or you? Just kidding.
Well, no, that I know the answers to is obviously me.
It's butter.
It's butter is the right answer.
Okay, so then pick your favorite restaurant in LA and pick your favorite restaurant in America and then pick your favorite restaurant in the world.
Ooh.
Oh my God.
Those are good
I
questions.
know. And you've been to all sorts of places, so I know it's going to be hard. And what are you, if it's something like you want to like to eat casually or if it's a special occasion, doesn't matter. Pick your favorite.
Okay. Favorite restaurant in LA might be Sirwan Tofu House.
Okay. No, I respect that.
I could just eat it endlessly. I always feel good after I eat it. They make their tofu in house. They have parking. I like that the ajumas kind of like yell at me if I don't eat all the banchan.
And for pescatarian, vegetarian, or like carnivores, like it accommodates everyone.
You can bring everyone to it, and you don't feel like death when you leave the restaurant. You know how like so many restaurants could be so heavy, but like this one isn't. You feel good and like energized.
And you're still full, but like
yes, but filled with nutrients that were delicious. So Sirwan Tofu House might be. Also, it's just like a very LA restaurant, and something about that I love. Like you're only really going to get this in LA.
And the best part, free parking.
Yes, truly the parking top notch. And then it was best restaurant in America.
Mm-hmm.
Or your favorite restaurant, not the best,
Or
your
my
favorite.
favorite restaurant in America. It's Taco Bell.
Okay. No, I love that. I love that.
Real. So real.
It really is Taco Bell. I actually have a Mexican pizza recipe in my book because at this point, Taco Bell is Indian food because Indians love Taco Bell. Like, did you get married unless someone went through the drive-thru and ordered 200 bean burritos for the after party? I don't know. Like, I don't know if you did. Like, it is like the center of, like, I don't know why Indians love Taco Bell so much, but we really do. So deeply obsessed with it. But I don't know. That's it's just comfort food. Also, the innovation that comes out of that chain is really impressive. Anyways, Taco Bell, if you're listening, would love to throw the volley party with you. Please reach out. And then in the world, it's this sandwich stand outside of my grandma's or my grandma's house in Ahmedabad in India. There's this like stand. You have to cross this crazy busy road. It's like, what's that video game?
Frogger.
Yeah, it's like that. Trying to cross the street, but fuck, is that sandwich worth it? And like they put like shredded cheese on top. Like it's like a multi-layered sandwich with like chutneys and vegetables and like, you know, several slices of bread, and they just put shit ton of shredded cheese on top. I don't know why, but it's awesome.
Okay.
That might be a nostalgia thing. I don't know. Picking a favorite restaurant. In
Nostalgia
the world.
is a really good reason to have a favorite of anything, because like nothing tastes better than it.
Yeah.
That's
Wait, I will
true.
say that, and actually Hoppers in London, if you haven't been, Hoppers in London is like fan-fucking-tastic. Yeah.
What kind of restaurant is Hoppers?
They do South Indian Sri Lankan food. So like
Okay.
Hoppers are like the actual dish that they're really known for. And their stuff is like, man, it's so good. So good.
When you said London, I just somehow imagine like someone saying like Hoppers with a British accent. And
Hoppers.
it's like, Hoppers?
Hoppers.
Would they sound
Honestly,
the H?
London is one of my favorite food cities. I know people give England a lot of shit for being like terrible for food, and like a lot of England is, but London is not.
Yeah, I always say like British food, it's not for me, but London food is for me. And it's two separate things.
Yeah.
London's incredibly diverse. Also, like they have some really good produce over there, like the rhubarb, the apples, the really good cheese. Yeah, I love London. It's actually my favorite.
Have you ever started
city.
your morning in London with a vegan sausage roll from Greg's?
That's your favorite thing.
It's not my favorite thing, but it's just like, you know what? I love it.
It's not.
I wouldn't say it's my favorite thing, but I love it. I love it. The vegan sausage rolls. If you know, you know.
Ick.
But anyways, so you actually have a really good newsletter that I subscribe to.
Yes.
Wow. I love this
Me too.
podcast. Thank you for shouting out literally everything that I do. This is amazing.
Isn't that what friends are for? Just know what's going on in each other's lives.
It's true. I just need you to find me like a hot husband now. Thank you.
Girl, I'm trying to get one myself.
Yeah, it's called Tap is Fine because tap water is fine in restaurants. Except I do love like a good seltzer. So every once in a while I do order the bubbles. But none of these weak bubbles. They have to be like, you know, the kind that kind of makes you cry.
The kind that comes in a bottle. Kind of one that feels like if you take a swig, the glass is cutting your throat.
Yes.
And it
Like,
makes you like violently burp.
Yes. Agua de Piedra, that one is like even better than Topo Chico. It's amazing. If you ever see it, order it immediately. It is like spicy. How bubbly it is. Yeah.
Now, Tap is Fine is the name of your Substack newsletter, right?
Yes.
That's where they find
correct.
that. Okay. Cool.
So they can just go to Substack to like subscribe it?
Yeah, you can just do khushbusha.substack.com. Honestly, if you just type in Tap is Fine, it like apparently shows up on Google. So
it is a very informative newsletter, and it's really fun to see Khushbu's take on things. So yeah, y'all should check it out if you are a foodie and want the tea.
And it also like gives you a lot of information just based off of what she's learned as like a frequent traveler and food restaurant critic. So there's a lot of stuff on there that you would never know if you're not in the industry.
Oh, wow. Thanks,
Translates
guys.
to a lot of travel hacks. Yeah.
And speaking of Khushbu's project, you just recently launched a cookware line.
Oh, I did a cookware collab, yeah, with Made In.
Yes, tell us about it.
Yeah. Made In is this really cool, like D2C, direct-to-consumer cookware company. And so I did like a capsule collection of like South Asian cookware with them because it's hard to find really good South Asian cookware outside of India, especially in the States. And so, yeah, we did like a 4-piece capsule collection. There's a masala dabba, which is like the spice container, which everyone should just have a masala dabba for anything you do. You don't have to use it for Indian spices. You can use it for anything. Any spices that you like. It's just very handy to have. Yeah, there was a kadai and a wok. Like a kadai is like a Indian wok, basically a flat bottom wok, and like a dosa pan also, or a tava, which is also kind of like a Mexican kamal. No, you can use it for all kinds of things. Yeah.
Cool.
Would you say you're willing to kadai for these? I'm sorry.
Oh God, can't.
Okay, so we have one last question for you. And it's the same thing we ask all of our guests. Curate your perfect meal. You're going to die tomorrow. And you will die tomorrow. Like, there's no way around it.
How sad would you be if I actually died tomorrow?
Well, pretty sad, but, that's
but not that
the
sad.
point.
Yeah.
I'd definitely be sad about you dying. But yeah, you will die tomorrow. So curate the perfect meal, appetizer, meal, and dessert.
Ooh.
And I'm sorry you have to die.
This is such a hard question. Okay, appetizer would probably be pani puri.
Yeah.
Yeah, which if you haven't had it, these like Indian, I don't know, fried, crispy globes. I don't know what to call them.
Best thing ever.
And then you like tap on the top of them and like create a little hole into these like spheres. Then you fill it with like black chickpeas, potatoes, lentils that are all kind of spiced, and then you add in like red tamarind chutney, and then you dunk it in this thing called pani, which is water, but it's like water flavored with mint and cilantro and like cumin and like a bunch of spices. It's like the most delicious thing. And then you eat it, like you dunk it in there, and then you like put the whole thing in your mouth, and it just, I mean, the phrase explosion of flavor in your mouth is not always that appetizing, but in this case, it really is. So that would probably be the appetizer. Maybe that and some really good mozzarella sticks, like phenomenal mozzarella sticks.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But they have to be like the perfect ones. Okay. And then the main meal. God, this is so hard. There's so much good stuff out there. Shit. I don't want everything to be so Indian leaning, but I think I just love
what you want to eat. Don't curate the meal for anybody else, because you're the one that's dying.
Okay, one thing that isn't Indian, but I actually fucking love tortellini and brodo. I think like really perfect tortellini and brodo is like one of the best things you can ever have. That the cacio e pepe from Bonnie's in Brooklyn, but he makes it with fuyu.
Yes.
And that shit is so fire. And it's one of the best things I've ever had. I think about it all the time. The white sesame Caesar from Winsun Bakery, also in Brooklyn, also fire. So those three things, and then wow, this would be like the biggest meal ever, like way too much. A Crunchwrap Supreme with beans instead of beef, extra red sauce from Taco Bell, and then probably Shrikand Puri. So Shrikand is like thickened, like super strained yogurt, whipped with like sugar, cardamom, and saffron. There's a recipe in my book. My mom makes the best version, and actually I stole all of her techniques for this one. So it's the most delicious thing. That with puri, which is like a puffy fried Indian flatbread, and magni dar, which is like a split lentil. I don't know. The way that my mom cooks it is truly one of my favorite things on the entire planet. So, but those three things like kind of go together. It's like a little meal. So that would be the main meal, a very, very big main meal.
No, I mean, you're dying tomorrow. Go like pop off this,
Yeah, so just go for it. Yeah, fuck it. And then for dessert, definitely some boba or like a mochi something. I just love that texture so much. A really good piece of like, like grocery store chocolate sheet cake. You know what I mean? Like how that just like hits differently.
Oh yes.
So like that, and probably like a killer ice cream sundae with all my favorite ice cream flavors. Oh, and one perfect mango. That's it. Then I'm out.
Just one.
Yeah, you gotta like.
I guess after everything else, you'd probably be full by the
Yeah, you probably have room for like one. Yeah, but one perfect mango. That would be the note I'd want to go out on. Yeah.
Okay. I was never like a big like sheet cake person, and don't judge me for saying this. Trader Joe's.
Yo, their little sheet cakes, really good.
Their lemon sheet cake with the cream cheese frosting.
It's a vibe.
Oh, it is like, I'm like, oh my God, I don't even like cakes like that. And this cake is so good.
Wait, have you seen that little, so this like hack going around on TikTok where they take like 3 of those little sheet cakes
from and stack it up and then you take the frosting and you're like, yeah. And at that point, that's like a $15 cake. You could have just gone to just bought a whole cake from a grocery store.
I don't know. Grocery store cakes are like $25. And that one you like. And it looks like kind of like a bougie layer cake.
Mm-hmm. And then people were like sharing like their hacks on like how to like stack these cakes. They're like, freeze it a little bit so the cake doesn't crumble when you like frost it. I'm like, people are actually doing this.
Kim, I'm gonna make you one for your birthday. You just wait.
I don't have a birthday.
Okay.
I have a birthday year. We celebrate me all year round.
That's true.
But Khushbu, thank you so much for coming on our podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me and for the boba. Appreciate it.
Is there anything else you want to shout out? Your socials, upcoming projects, upcoming collabs?
Oh yeah, you can find me on the Instagrams at Khushandoj, Khushandoj. It's a subtle weed reference from a Wiz Khalifa thing. It's fine. It used to be Smoke That Kush, but then I wanted a job, so I had to change it. And I am going on book tour soon, so I actually will be in several cities across the U.S. If you want to come hang, would love to do that. I'm actually doing a talk with Jon in Detroit. So if you're in Michigan,
I'm so sorry.
Love Michigan. I actually do love Michigan.
And I love Michigan too, in case any listeners get the wrong idea.
Yeah.
I just like to...
No, it's fine. She hates Michigan and y'all can absolutely cancel her for it. It's totally fine.
But yeah, come see me on book tour. Buy the cookbook. Follow me on Instagram. I'll
when
tell
does
you all
the cookbook
of Canada's
come out?
darkest secrets. June 4th.
June 4th, but you can pre-order it now.
You can pre-order it now. And if you pre-order it now, you get some really cute magnets, like a Danish cookie tin that's filled with sewing equipment.
I love
a little
that.
bowl of cut
That's
fruit.
So good.
Yeah. All the fun little diaspora, staples of a household in magnet format. Yeah.
And also go and pre-order Khushbu's cookbook because it really helps out the authors a lot if you pre-ordered things because it helps them realize how many cookbooks to order for stores all around the world. And I'm holding the book in my hand right now. It is a very, very beautifully done book that makes you feel like you can cook it all. Some of the dishes are complex, but it doesn't look too out of touch, unlike some cookbooks I've seen. Everything in here looks very delicious. I can't actually wait to cook from it. Unlike Jon's cookbook. I'm kidding.
I beg your pardon. Wow. I can't wait till your book comes out, Kim.
Yeah, same, actually. We have a little bookshelf. It'd be very cute. Pure
The
Michigan.
pure Michigan bookshelf.
Yeah.
The made in Michigan bookshelf.
Made in Michigan bookshelf.
Yeah. Shout out to my murder mittens.
Shout out to the Starbucks in Okemos that John goes to.
Oh, John, you go to Starbucks?
Oh, yeah, you're going to get canceled now. Sorry.
Yeah, we'll cut that part out.
That was before. That was no. I will say that happened like before everything. That was like almost
true.
a year and a half ago.
Yeah, that's fair.
So,
yeah. Our listeners want to know that your morning routine is going to Starbucks every morning. So.
Oh my God.
Anyways, everyone, thank you for listening to One for the Table. You can follow us at One for the Table. That is number 1 for the table. You can submit any questions you may have. We might answer it. We might not. We'll probably answer it. In order, Khushbu's American. I said it wrong again, didn't I?
American. No, you got it.
American.
Amerikan. Yeah.
American. Get that in your head. Go to places where you can order books right now. American. Order it. Because right now, if you order it, it comes with these like really cute refrigerator magnets. I sound like a salesman. Buy this!
I love it. Thank you.